What's going on to the best friends and family on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be tackling these guys back here. I'm gonna show you guys how to do the brakes, the rear brakes specifically, on an Evolution. I tried to do them yesterday. Not them, I tried to do that side. I was successful in that side, obviously. But I had to do a little digging because these calipers are not like the STI, the Supra, anything else that I've had that has Brembo brakes has a different setup than this. It's the first time I've came across this. So I'm gonna show you guys what I have to do to change the rotor and the brake pads. First off, I'm gonna show you what I went with. So this is more of an emergency replacement. Not that I'm in an emergency, but the car is so close to being perfect. And the last thing on the list really is the rear brakes, which are, they're a little hurting. If you can hear that, there's a bunch of ridges in the rotor and there's two lips on the top and the bottom, which means she's pretty much done. So I found a Canadian supplier, which got the brakes here in a couple days. And not the best pads in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but they work. They're ceramic. And they are performance orientated. So I'll just show you guys here. This whole setup was about a couple $100, and it came with a new clip for the rear caliper pin, so that's cool. But yeah, I actually was gonna buy the Brembo stuff, but it was like 2 weeks out, and I don't have 2 weeks because the car's going back to the shop here shortly. So I'm gonna plug in all my lights and everything, get everything charged and ready to go, and show you guys what I do to change the rear brakes. All right, so I'm back. I just got back from washing this beautiful thing. I'm trying to ceramic coat it and get it ready for 3M or paint protection tomorrow. But I'm gonna continue on with this for now. So what I'm gonna show you guys is these pins here. It took me a little bit to find information. I don't know if it was what I was looking for or whatever, but I couldn't find it readily available. I had to watch a video and skip and try to find it. So I'm just gonna tell you right now, these pins, you have to hammer out this way. They have a special locking pin in the back here. It's like a C-clamp, but enlarged. So when I get it out, I'll show you. And I have a tool that broke on me that I'm using, and it works like a charm. I'm using this guy here. It's like perfectly broken that it works really good. So I'm gonna, before I do that though, I'm going to make sure that the caliper bolts will break loose okay, just because these are Brembo calipers and it's soft aluminum, so they can take the threads with them. So I'm gonna be proactive, make sure they come out. It looks like these ones were replaced already with a grade 8 bolt. At least the other side was. So I'm just gonna crack them loose, make sure everything feels okay. Then I'm gonna take these pins out and I'm just gonna open up the pistons a little bit so I can install the new pads easier. All right, so if you have trouble with getting these things out, I've read online you can soak them in WD-40. I just sprayed some on it. I'm gonna line this tool so it doesn't scratch the caliper. Give it a couple love taps. And mine came out, or are coming out, pretty nicely. I guess these guys can seize. I'm gonna go grab my long needle nose and just push them out rather. So the caliper bolts on the back, which are 17, did come out nice. I don't see there being a problem with them. Hopefully this isn't a problem. The other side did seem to come out a little easier. Maybe they're not pushed back yet. That's a little better. So we'll see how that worked. There we go. Come on, you. Get out. So the bottom one came out nice. This one is proving to be difficult. So this is what you might run into. But it came out. So I can show you guys what these look like. All right, so see what I'm talking about? There's that like C-clamp at the end there, and obviously when you hammer this back in, you hammer it flush to the caliper as you've seen previously, and this compresses, and that's what holds it in, versus having like a cotter pin setup on my Supras and STIs and everything else Brembo we've owned. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna clean these up. I'm gonna take this brake pad out here, and then I'm gonna spread the caliper as much as I can, because I'd rather wreck this rotor, if I'm gonna wreck anything, than the brand new one. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so I got this brake pad out, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slide in my pry bar here, and I'm just gonna pry that piston shut as much as I can. And that worked like a charm on the other one. Now, it is gonna push this one further, but since the brake pad is here, it's not gonna go as far. So this one is closed really nicely. Usually these are a drop-in application. Sometimes you will fight it just because this rotor is worn so much. So they might have a resting place that's further than normal. So I'm gonna go ahead and fight this brake pad out of here and show you guys the rest of the process here. I'm probably just gonna take the caliper off rather than prying. All right, brake pads are out. I'm gonna give it a nice bath. It's not terrible in there, but I do wanna make sure it's clean going back in, and it'll just be nicer when I apply the grease to the back of the new pads and those pins. So again, I'm doing this on the old rotor, so all the grime can stay on this old rotor. Ideally, I'd want to get these calipers refinished. A fellow Evo owner just got it done, and they look absolutely phenomenal, but I just don't have the time because I want to get this thing going and enjoy it, and I don't want it to be down for any longer. So for now, I decided against that. These pads are yellow. I'm not entirely sure as to why, but so this piston is pushed out like the other one. You probably can't see it. You can see it there. So I'm gonna try to make that work on the new with the new pads with the new rotor. But that being said, there is tools out there that I'm probably gonna purchase after this video because I have Brembos all the time on something. And it's better to use the proper tool for the proper job, or the proper tool for the job, rather. So, there's just a lot of grime in here that I don't like. I'd rather it be spick and span. So I'm gonna go grab a different rag and just clean it up in there, because these ones are kind of totaled, but stay tuned. So I've run into another issue, you might too, is the rotor is rusted right to the hub. Now the nice thing about that side is the hub was just replaced, it looks brand new. This one is not, you can tell. But this bolt trick works like a charm every time. And each rotor has these threaded holes, so you can use it as a pry tool. It'll push the rotor away from the hub. So when I get in here, I'm going to be spraying it or putting anti-seize on it for my new rotor. But it's nice that one side wheel bearing / hub has already been done. It's too bad this side it wasn't. And sometimes too, don't forget to take your e-brake off. That wasn't the case in this case. My e-brake is off. It's not on. It was probably due to this corrosion, so just be aware. All right, so everything's assembled. Nothing's torqued down yet. So I'm gonna grease the backs of these pads, these high performance pads, which they may be, I guess, but perfect world, these should just slide in nice. Try not to get any debris on the pad itself, for obvious reasons. So I'm just applying some grease to the backs of the other pad here. Now obviously you don't want to have grease on the front of the pad. That would just be bad. I knew this one would give me a little trouble, but it went in. And that was due to not being able to really pry that one open. All right, now here's the fun part. So these new pins, you obviously want to grease a ton. Well, I shouldn't say a ton. You just want to, grease them nice. Not only does the grease protect it against the elements, but it helps it lubricate the whole system, right? Now I did keep these in position, meaning where it came out is where it's going in. The kit came with a new brake pad spreader bracket, if you will. We're almost done here. This was a really easy job. Thankfully, I've had nightmare brake jobs, specifically with Brembo brakes. They're amazing brakes. Don't get it twisted. It's just, in some cars, they use a really, really soft aluminum for the caliper body, and the threads do not like life when they see any bits of corrosion. And that's kind of what happened. So, there, bada boom, bada bing. Now, what I'm gonna do is wipe my hands so I don't get grease everywhere. But I'm gonna take my hammer and I'm going to hammer these pins flush to the caliper body. And as you can see, that pin is now seated properly. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult here. I'm not applying a lot of force, obviously. Again, these calipers are soft aluminum. But if you guys can see in there, try to put my headlamp in for you. Those are now flush and seated in the caliper. So, brake job is pretty well done, but I'm gonna button stuff up. As you can tell, there's a big gaping hole there. On the other side, my factory calipers had a rubber seal in them. That might be why this one got corroded. I don't have that seal on that caliper, which is unfortunate. I'm gonna go see if I have a grommet that'll fit that. And yeah, I'm gonna button everything up and show you guys. All right, so that concludes this episode. I just finished torquing the bolts. Well, I technically torqued one of them because you can't really get to this one with the brake line in the way like that. I was able to do it on the other side. This side, I don't feel comfortable doing it without sacrificing that brake line potentially, and I'm not about to do that. So the torque, what I could find online was 40 foot-pounds. Again, I will put the screenshot on probably for the video. It was a little difficult to find. But always do your due diligence with torquing. Some people do a good and tight method. Sometimes I do that as well, but I always recommend torquing. If I can torque it, I'm gonna torque it. So she's torqued, she's ready to go. Brand new brakes on both sides. And now I have to go in and break these in. You can Google how to break in rotors and pads. You basically have to bed the pads with the rotors, and that's what I'm gonna do when it's decent out. But for now, I'm gonna clean this wheel well out, spray it with some nice rust inhibitor, get this thing all ceramic coated, and then hopefully hit the hay. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, if you did, be sure to check out the channel for more videos just like this on lots of cars. I got my Fair Lady Z that's going to be here. It's actually in Canada on the 2nd, and it should be here a week or two after. So that'll be cool. Go through that thing. But yeah, as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe if you like this sort of thing. All right, everybody. Peace.